In the last two lessons, we examined ways to engage in the passage and ways to summarize each paragraph. These two steps set the stage for the most important part of the reading comprehension strategy, which is identifying the main idea of the passage. What's the main idea? It's the point the author is trying to make. It's the central theme, the thesis. Basically, it's what the passage is all about. Identifying the main idea is the single most important strategy when tackling reading comprehension questions, and our goal will be to summarize the main idea in fewer than 10 words. Remember that the majority of reading comprehension questions test your understanding of the central theme and the points that support that theme. So if you miss the main idea, you will definitely miss some of the questions. So in this lesson, we'll examine ways to help you identify the main idea of a passage. The first tip is to review the paragraph summaries that you recorded while reading the passage. This should give you a good understanding of the main idea and the major points that support the main idea. And now another tip to consider is to look for common themes. If you can recognize one of the themes that are common to GMAT passages, then you'll have an easier time identifying the main idea. 4 common themes in GMAT passages are different perspectives, the fix, the explanation, and the prediction. Let's examine each theme on its own, beginning with the different perspectives theme. In this kind of passage, the author compares and contrasts 2 or more different points of view. This is a very common theme in GMAT passages, and it can come in many forms. For example, in the past we used to do this, but now we do this. Another example is, some scientists believe this, but other scientists believe this. Now sometimes the author is neutral about each perspective, and other times the author shows a preference either directly or indirectly. So in reading these types of passages, you should determine whether the author shows a preference for a particular side. Alright, the next common theme is the fix. In these passages, the author describes a problem and then provides a single solution to that problem. An example would be describing the details of a country's recession and providing a way for the country to get out of the recession. In some cases, the author may offer several possible solutions to the problem. An example would be outlining 3 different ways to promote volunteerism within a community. Now for passages where the author provides more than one solution to a problem, be sure to determine whether the author indicates a preference for one particular solution. Okay, the next theme to discuss is the explanation. In these passages, the author describes a certain situation or phenomenon and explains how or why it happens. Some examples of this theme include why the French Revolution occurred, why people cannot keep their eyes open when they sneeze, and how salmon are able to travel thousands of kilometers to return to the exact location where they were hatched. Okay, the last theme to discuss is the prediction. This theme is the reverse of the explanation theme. In the explanation theme, the author takes a phenomenon and explains the conditions that caused it to occur. In the prediction theme, the author describes existing conditions and explains why these conditions will cause a certain phenomenon to occur in the future. For example, a passage may discuss how the depletion of a country's resources will eventually cause civil unrest in that country. Okay, so those are the common themes to watch out for. We'll now continue looking at other ways to help you identify the main idea of a passage. The next tip is to pay close attention to the first 2 sentences and last 2 sentences of the entire passage. The main idea is often found here. So as you're reading those sentences, be sure to ask yourself, could this be the main idea of the passage? If it's not the main idea, then it's a supporting detail, in which case you should ask, what main idea is this detail supporting? Another tip to consider is that your summary should encapsulate the entire passage, not just 1 or 2 paragraphs of the passage. And finally, when summarizing the main idea, use generic language. The reason for this is that the answer choices typically do not mention specific names or details from the passage. Okay, now let's examine some passages and practice identifying the main idea. We'll begin with the passage involving VCRs. If you wish, you can stop the video now and summarize the main idea before continuing. Now, once we've read the passage, we can refer to our paragraph summaries to help us identify the main idea. Given all of this, my summary of the passage is comparing two business strategies. Now, some may argue that the passage spends most of the time discussing only one strategy, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is that we have identified that the heart of the passage concerns business strategies. Now, in the official guide, the main idea is summarized as illustrating a business strategy by means of a case history. Although these two summaries are not identical, they are close enough to be able to answer a main idea question. Now, as an aside, please note the generic language used in the official summary and how there is no mention of VCRs, beta, VHS, or other details. Okay, let's try another passage. Once again, you may wish to stop the video and summarize the main idea before continuing. Okay, the theme of this passage is probably best described as the fix, where the author provides a solution to a problem. The official guide summarizes the main idea as describing a problem and proposing a solution. Notice once again that the summary is generic, in that there's no mention of stocks or capitalism or corporations. Okay, let's try one more example. For this passage, the official guide summarizes the main idea as the application of laws affecting trade frequently has unintended consequences. Okay, let's summarize. In this lesson, we examined several ways to help us identify and summarize the main idea of a reading comprehension passage. In the next lesson, we'll examine ways to answer the questions that accompany each passage.